has come was in the year 91. And I was the youngest member of an 18-member team, which actually went to play the Malaysia, Indonesia, and Singapore Opens as a sequence. Back then, we almost had nobody from our team who would reach second and third rounds. So the typical joke in the Indian team was, कितने कपड़े लेके आया खेलने के लिए? Because it used to be one pair of playing clothes and 4 pairs of casual clothes. Because we only had to play, and the joke was morning show ya matinee. Because you wouldn't last till first show, because that's when the second rounds would happen. So this is how we were. For us, Prakash sir, who won the All England in 1980, was not somebody whom we could relate to in that time. Because he was like God. We can't reach what he has done. To Prakash sir hai, he has reached it. We cannot be what he is. And that is how our entire thinking was. We never thought that we could emulate what Prakash sir has done. And as an 18-year-old kid, who's the youngest of almost like an 18-member team, we all lost on the first day, first show or morning show or matinee, and we gathered together for dinner because we used to get about $15 of DA, and we would kind of save some so that we could buy shoes, we could buy a bag or a t-shirt. And we were all ordered from an Indian restaurant to sit in a hotel called Emerald in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. And everybody was praising the Chinese, Indonesian, Malaysians, how high they jump, how hard they hit, and how less points we got. And typically, in that point of time, the fastest matches at the All England and in the big tournaments were Indians. We used to lose the quickest. In 15 minutes, we used to finish the matches. That is how our level was. And we all sat there, everybody praising. And I was the youngest of them all. And I said, क्या बात कर रहे हो? मैं जीत के दिखाऊंगा. And everybody pounced on me. Everybody pounced on me and said, बच्चा है, बहुत उचक रहा है, साले जल्दी सीख जाएगा. And I walked out of the room saying, मैं जीत के दिखाऊंगा. And honestly, if I'm proud of anything, it's the fact that I had that kid in me alive till I finished playing my badminton career and I started coaching and continue to have that kid in me alive. And that is what is important for me. It didn't come out easily because I had multiple losses. I had 3 surgeries on my left knee in 94, 96, and 98, and a 4th surgery on my right knee in 2002. I had 2 fractures on my right metatarsals and ankles, ligament tear by the time I finished. But I had the kid in me alive who was saying, मैं जीत के दिखाऊंगा. And that's something which I'm truly proud about. It's not a journey about me being the player. I want to share the journey of me being the coach. And this is not something I've shared as much in the last few years because nobody asked me so much. And they said, your story is inspirational. So I had to pack all of it in about 20, 25, 30 minutes and give it. But today, on the specific subject of speed, this is something which I want. When I won the All England, I had tried a lot of things. I was in Hyderabad, I went to Bangalore, I went to Germany, I went to England, and tried playing under different coaches, methodologies, my own body, philosophy, training, method, everything. I tried diet, exercise, technique, mindset, and then I won the All England. And then I realized, boss, I found the formula. But then I had 3 surgeries on my left knee, an anterior cruciate ligament tear in 94, another meniscus in 96, and a cartilage tear in 98. Thanks to that, over the years, I put too much pressure on my right knee, and my right knee gave way in what is called a wear and tear injury. It just got worn out. So I never could really recover from that injury and the surgery. So in my mind, I had this great formula of winning, but I didn't have the body to use it. So every day I would go to the stadium as a habit, and I would check my left knee okay, right knee okay. And if both are okay, I would play. And if one was hurting, I would coach. The initial years of 2002, 2003, I would play 3 sessions and coach 1 session. But as time progressed, I was coaching 1 session, playing 1 session and coaching 3 sessions because my knee was hurting all the time. Somehow I still wanted to play. I knew the formula. I said, if I get my fitness back, I'm going to win. But it wasn't going anywhere. So slowly I moved to coaching, and in the year 2004, I jumped into coaching. And this is where the element of speed came in, because I was so much in a hurry that till date I haven't actually formally retired as a player, because I wanted to be a coach in a hurry, because I didn't care whether I had the funding, I didn't care whether I had the knowledge, I didn't care whether it is sustainable. I just said, I know something I want to share. And in the year 2004, formally, I took a bunch of kids who were around in Hyderabad and started coaching. The oldest of that group was a 16-year-old called Parupalli Kashyap, who won the Commonwealth Games in 2014 after a gap of about 32 years. In that group, we had players like Sai Praneeth, who was about 11 years old, who won the World Championship medal after about 36 years. And then we had players like Guru Sai Dutt, who won a Commonwealth bronze, Saina, who was about 13, who won a host of medals. And the youngest of that group was Sindhu at about 9 years old. And in that entire group, almost about 10 of them have played top 20 in the world. And that's something which is really wonderful. On that day, had I really thought, I will wait till the funding comes. I will wait till the building comes. I will wait till the time I'm nominated as a coach for the team. I probably would have never been able to start this journey in the first place. It was important that I made the jump. Then the other thing which came up was, what else needs to be done? Because I went for coach to raise funds. And people would say, you need to have an income tax exemption to get funding. I got an ATG and went to people, said, can I get some funds? They said, no, not ATG, you should get 100% exemption, 35 AC, 12A. And I went to finance ministry, got 100% exemption. And I believed that funds would come from CSR. So went to a lot of companies and requested them, can I get some funds? And people said, health, sanitation, girl, child, education, these are our priorities. Unfortunately, sports is not on the list of CSR. I said, okay. Then they said, why don't you try with sponsorship? So went to the CFOs of companies to ask for sponsorships. And they said, Gopi, it doesn't work this way. You've been a great player, very good. We don't have any instances of great players being great coaches. So I don't think you'll be a success. Then somebody told me that badminton doesn't have the eyeballs to be a world sport. And somebody else told me that I don't think Indians can be champions at the sport. And I walked off very dejected. The CSR element, I had a 10 crore sanction. After 2 years of running around, all I gathered was about 56 lakhs. And we surrendered the rest of the funding or the sanction back. In desperation, I didn't even go to reapply for it because I was too tired of going. So finally, there was a day when I went to my parents and my wife and said, we've got this 1,000 yards plot in Jubilee Hills of Hyderabad, which I got after the All England. We need to sell the house. Luckily for me, they agreed. We didn't have to sell the house, but the next day we mortgaged the house, got a 3 crore loan. My father, as a banker, I got 25 lakhs on winning the All England from the then government. He put it in a bank. It came back as 50 lakhs. 5 years later, we took that money, put it in. My brother was in the US. He gave in some money. Somehow we managed to pull out the academy and mortgage the house and finish the construction of the academy. Sometimes it's important when you believe in things to jump, and speed is important. It's important for us to make that twist. The other thing which we did was there wasn't any tournaments in the country. Nothing was happening. Nobody really thought that badminton could win. I won, but this fellow is a mad fellow, this fellow will win. But it is not something which can be replicated as what everybody thought. So for me, it was important that if we play one level, we need to organize tournaments just one level above them. And that is the fastest way of getting players to the next level. So although it was too much, I went on to say that we should organize tournaments. And then they said, if you want, you do it. We are not going to do it. So I went on and started bidding for tournaments. 2004, we did. 2003, when I was playing, we did a nationals. 2004, we did an Asian satellite. 2005, we did a international Grand Prix. 2006, we did Asian Championships. 2007, 8, 9, 2007 and 8, we did Grand Prix Gold events. And in 2009, we actually pulled out and did a World Championships in Hyderabad. And that whole journey was very painful because running into the 5th day of the tournament, players would be playing semifinals and I'm waiting outside offices trying to get some checks so that we could fund the tournament. It was very stressful times and I had to do everything, literally everything. I would run around for sponsors, I would lay courts, I would sleep there, and one time I didn't sleep for 4 days at a stretch. And then at the World Championships, and twice the police had caught me because I parked my car on the side of the road and I was sleeping in the midnight at around 3 or 4 because I wanted to go home and change. And those were really difficult times. But we managed to pull it. I'm saying the sense of ownership and to go beyond what is your call is something which is so very important. Today, when I look back and the successes, what we have seen from 91 we started off till the entire circle of the World Championship gold, I think what we've achieved is phenomenal. But I think you have to take it on yourself at some point and say, if it needs to be done, mandatorily, probably you have to do it. So for me, today, when I look back, and maybe in the last few days, I have spoken about it in the press a little more, about how there's a need for coaches, and there's a need for system, and a need for culture. Because for this growth to be sustainable, it's very important that we have a culture of excellence. And it has a very personal trait in it. And I'll just share a couple of examples of what these mean. This whole journey of Indian badminton, for us on the men's side, was still something which went 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got players like Nandu Natekar. As early as there was a player called Prakash Nath who reached the semis of the All England. We had Nandu Natekar, Suresh Goel, Prakash, Dinesh Khanna. We've got a host of people who are at least good on the men's side. But there was never any women players who had achieved anything great. And when Saina was coming up and I was coaching her, the general tendency would be from people to say that ladke to theek hai yaar, apni ladkiyan bahut hi weak hai. This is what we would come to hear. And say, especially in mixed doubles and all, yaar wo apne ladkiyan, those girls are so strong, they're so fit. Our girls can't even hit from back of the court to that side. And this is how this whole talk was. This is as much as in 2001, 2002. And so when Saina was coming up, it was a real challenge. But the greatness was that I had an athlete who had absolutely no idea of what the world was, or she didn't even bother to know what the world was. I would tell her, Saina, ye koi ladki hai, or koi Christina Vistina hai, wo Indonesia se khelti hai. हाँ, तू बहुत अच्छा खेलती है उससे. And she was smart enough, or she was dumb enough, you can say, but she would believe me. And that's the quality of a champion. You kind of believe it and you go on and execute it. And the work ethic is what is important. We went for this 2008 Olympics. And we almost won a medal there. We lost in the quarterfinal. She was up 11-3. And this is the first time badminton actually came to the forefront. Media in our country sees only multi-sport events unless you're popular. So Olympics, Commonwealth, World Championships, that's where people come. So at the Olympics, some of the people saw an 18-year-old Indian girl play well, and then everybody said, wow, Saina is great. She probably has a future in the next Olympics or whatever. And that's what came to fore in 2008. Every day, we reached there about 10 days earlier at the Olympic Village. And every day in the morning, we would get up and go to the gym at 6 o'clock. And she had lost this quarterfinal match. And this match finished at around 9 o'clock, 8:39. And we were coming back to the stadium around that time. Match finished up around 7:38. We were coming back at around 9. And I said, Saina, kal gym. And I was in no way expecting her to say yes. I said, Saina, gym kal. She said, Bhaiya, please. And I was like, it's very fair to expect that after this disappointment, after this loss, it's okay to say I want rest. She said, Bhaiya, please, can we go at 6:30? Is all what she asked. And that's the quality which you're looking for. And that's something which I found really amazing in her. We were coming back from Commonwealth Asian Games year, which was 2010 in December. And I had Saina, who had won the Commonwealth gold, the first ever Commonwealth gold by an Indian woman. And then we were coming back, and I was expecting Sindhu to be the champion. And Sindhu had barely managed to win the sub-junior nationals. And I was expecting her to raise. And I wasn't directly in connect with her. I would train her in a group, but I wasn't individually taking care of her. So I went on, and after was coming back from the Asian Games, I called her up. Already I was working from 5:30 in the morning, because that's when Saina's dedicated time was, because she was the champion, she was pushing hard. And then I went on and said, Sindhu, I called up Sindhu's father, Ramana, and said, Ramana, tomorrow morning, tell Sindhu the session is at 4:15. I said, morning 4:15. I stressed the word. And she said yes. And from 2010 December till 2017 January, every day in the morning, whenever we were in Hyderabad, we always had a session at 4:15 in the morning, no matter what time we reached. Even if I reached at 1 in the night or 2 in the night, I would come back once from the US and reached at 2 in the night, and I had a session at 4. We came back from the World Championship bronze medal and reached 10 in the night, And then also we had a 4:15 session. Somehow that is what for me is culture and structure. So it's very important that you have these things built in, and these points which don't have a negotiating arm at all. This is the way things are from a cultural perspective. There's another very important aspect which I would want to share is you do all this and you still lose a lot of times. We've lost a lot of matches. It's good that the media doesn't cover it in the front page headlines the way it does. Sometimes we've lost so many, but once Sindhu wins and it covers up. Once Sai Praneeth wins, it covers up. Kashyap wins. Sometimes all the boys lose and all the girls in the singles lose, and there's a men's doubles pair which won in Thailand which gets the headlines. So sometimes you are okay to fail. It is perfectly all right to fail. So it's very important to keep remembering that ignore the mistake. Focus on the positive. Ignore the mistake, focus on the positive. That's something which I believe is very critical. Never in my career have I benefited from dissecting a loss immediately. I would say ignore the loss immediately. We walk off, I make those subtle changes in training program, and I come back to the loss after the next win. And then the player opens up. When I ask a player when he is lost, what happened, why did you lose? It's always a very defensive reply. It's always putting the blame on somebody. And then when he accomplishes something the next time and he wins or she wins and he or she opens up the previous loss and then says, "Sir, I wish I could have served like this on that day. Sir, I wish I could have slept on time on that day. I wish I could have eaten correctly on that day." Because he talks about his mistakes with a sense of accomplishment when he achieves something. So it's fundamental to go back to the loss, not when you've lost it. Ignore the failure. The person who fails also knows. He's ready to work hard. But to push him in and rub him in doesn't really help, is what my experience has been. Another aspect of speed, and this is something we follow in our sporting world very well, but probably in an Indian corporate world, we don't. And please excuse me if I say something wrong, but I thought I'll share this experience with you. I have multiple players. I've got a 32-year-old Kashyap who's won and achieved very many. If I say on the verge of retirement, he'll be very hurt. So in the verge of retirement in the next 4-5 years is what I'll still say. He plays a player who's very young, called Priyanshu, who's 17 years, who's good. Both of them have competed, and this happens to me day in and day out because I have a bunch of players who train with me. And both of them come up. They've played a match. Kashyap has won 21-19, 21-17. He comes up, Kashyap comes up first, and he's talking to me. And I tell him, you should have done these 3 things correct. But I also tell him that, boss, what are you doing? This kid is 17 years old. You are a Commonwealth champion. You should be assertive. The next time I want you to play him, I want you to beat him and thrash him so that when he plays you in a match, he doesn't have the confidence to beat you or think about beating. You shouldn't even think that I'm capable of competing against him. This is the performance which I want. He walks out. In the frame, Priyanshu reports a few seconds later. And I'm telling him, क्या कर रहे तू? ये रिटायर होने को आया है. ये 36 साल का, 32 years का हो गया है. इसको तो नहीं जीत सकता है, तो कब वो रिटायर होने के बाद मारेगा इसको? कम ऑन, व्हाट इज द यूज ऑफ your energy and youth if you can't beat him? So the next time I want to beat him, and I want you to show him what you really are. And this happens. So we tell them as a philosophy, as a policy, to challenge the senior. And we tell the senior to respect the junior. If you don't thrash him this time in a match, he will thrash you. So you respect the senior. So in a corporate world, probably it's exactly the opposite what we do. We actually respect the senior and we challenge the junior. In a sense, what happens is that if the senior gives his thought as a decision, there is nobody to challenge him. Even if the decision is wrong from an organizational perspective, if the thinking is old, still there's nobody challenging him, because none of the juniors is thinking in his head of challenging the senior. And if an input comes from the junior, the senior is thinking, ye to bachcha hai, isko kuch nahi aata hai. And then he's never respecting the junior. So an organization will never have a sea change unless you have this fundamental theory reversed and having people respect this junior and challenge the senior. It has to be respectful, it has to be having our culture and all of that, but I think this is something which we do in the sporting field, which I thought could be useful and could be something which I think which could be incorporated into a corporate world. For me, sport has truly given me whatever I have. And for me, the entire perspective of life has changed because of sport. And there's one aspect which I'll share before I close, is talent. People have always asked me, how do you identify talent? And it's something which is very, very important. Till the time a young girl of 13 years taught me another aspect of life which I think which did not exist. I threw a shuttle to a kid who was supposed to catch it and throw it back. A simple exercise. She dropped it. And the next time I threw it at her, also she dropped it. In a class which I don't take normally, which is a summer coaching camp, I just walked off and said, forget it, annoying, and I moved out. Till the point the kid came in front of me and said, sir, teach me how to catch. That single statement in 2015 changed my entire thinking about sport. And today, when I say something, I always make it a point to say, today I feel like this. Because till 2015, till this girl asked me this question, I didn't know what sport was in the way I would say. Every time I see 10 kids, I'm saying, where is the talent? Probably we are asking the wrong question. If I had 10 kids of my own, and if I had one champion, what about the 9 of them? Sports builds team spirit, is what we say. Sports builds confidence, is what we say. If I conduct a competition, and if there is one winner, he or she is confident, yes. But what about the rest 9 of them who've lost? Will they become confident or will they feel left out? In sport, in the last few years, as much of talent I have selected and success I've seen a lot of failure, and I've rejected a lot of people. I think as a group, I think it's important for us as individuals, as parents, to fundamentally flip the question and say, not is he or she talented. It's important for us to say, he or she is talented. It is up to me to find out where the talent is. I think as parents, as leaders, as heads, it's important for us to say, where is the talent in my group? What is he or she good at? And let me place it in there, rather than fixing talent and saying, is he or she talented? I think that is some basic thing which we need to do. So for me, this whole journey has been great, enriching, and it's brought many, many more things. I don't know how we are placed on time. I've been said half an hour, so I think it's about that time. So if you have any questions, or if you have time, if you want me to continue, I'll continue. Thank you very much.
Well, wasn't part of the plan, but then who can stop the champion? We'll take 2 questions. Anyone? Quickly. You're not getting that opportunity behind stage later. Cool. I think that's about it. There's one. Oh, Manish.
Mr. Gopichand, congratulations. You have done a great job for the country. My question is very simple. What is the secret of your discipline?
Yeah.
Is there a secret sauce?
Yes, it is. I think Avanti asked me to talk about passion. When you say words like discipline, hard work, sacrifice, they sound as hard things to do. But the day you replace this with liking what you do, with loving what you do, with having involvement in what you do, you having passion in what you do, I think these words just fade away and this question never arises. For me, I've been in my life able to replace this, or in a way, never started off with that. I just loved the sport so much. Today when I go to, honestly, I get up in the morning, I'm just waiting, when can I go to the court? And literally I spend about 7 to 8 hours at a stretch on the badminton court, and I never feel tired. If I go to a holiday or a mall or a party, then I get tired. Then I have to have a badminton game to actually recover. So I honestly don't feel that I've really worked in my life. And that's the best part of it, in the sense I've enjoyed myself so much.
Mr. Sabharwal.
First of all, compliments to you. Not only have you personally done well, but you've made the country so proud. And I'm seeing a new skill set. I've seen you, this is the 3rd time I'm hearing you, and each time you're different. And you bring out a new facet to learn from. Just a small question. You know, each individual is different. When people come to you, probably they have different strengths. Is your coaching method similar? Is it that, you know, there is a standard or a secret sauce of being a champion like yourself or Prakash sir, saying that I have to, you know, mold these individuals like that? Or do you, you know, just change your method so that it's specific to that individual and it does not matter, you know, people with different styles can win?
Yeah. I think this, for us in our life, for me, for all what we've done, achieved, said and done, I think the life of the player is the best life you can have. For the simple thing that there's only one question as a player which you need to ask yourself. For anything which comes your way, there's only one question. Is it good for my sport or not? You're picking up something to eat, is it good for my game or not? You're meeting somebody, is it good for me or not? You're going somewhere, is it good for me or not? Everything as a player's life is focused on only one simple question. Is it good for me or not? And we all tend to become very selfish, self-oriented, very introvert. In that sense, we all kind of are rewarded in our entire lives for being self-centered in a way. Everything is me, 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 me. And we've benefited from it. All my life also. Somebody says, Gopi, it's an important function. Mera resting time. Gopi, dinner, nahin, mera khane ka yahi diet hai. This everything moves back into it. Family functions, festivals, everything in your entire life is like that. And suddenly, one day you turn a coach. And the entire journey is about the other person. What do I do? I had this dilemma. To share, not share. All of it you've benefited, you've been told in your life that you hold to secrets. You found something as a formula, you hold to it. In the sense, you'll use it for the longest time and then you share it to somebody whom you want to win. Or you don't even share because you can't. You've competed so much in your life that you don't want the other person to win. And that's what sports persons are. They, unfortunately, why does doping happen? Cheating happen? Why? Like we are running in a race, we are not running our race. We are running their race. We want to stop him from winning. I don't mind if I win, but this fellow should not win. That is how we've become, and we've been rewarded for it. And that's the internal nature in which we are. That's very sad part of sport. But the truth is that when you actually shift the mirror exactly the opposite side, it's the same question you ask with a different thing. What is the best for my player? Then your coaching style exactly reflects what needs to be done. And then everything is the same. How does he perform better? By me being nice, being shouting, being being this game style, this training style, to let him go, whatever it is, what is best for him. And that actually changes your entire perspective. And for me, this is something which really works.